Right now on WUSA 9 News at 11, brand new information on Hurricane Ian.
Yeah, the entire state of Florida is bracing for the worst.
Yeah, that's right, Leslie and Zoe. This monster storm is going to put lives at risk. Now, I just have a new update. We'll tell you where the new track is going to be, when and where it's going to make landfall, and just how strong this storm is becoming.
This is WUSA 9 News at 11. Let's get started. Boy, this is a doozy. This team, though, always has you covered when weather is the big story. Good evening. I'm Leslie Foster.
And I'm Lorenzo Hall. Now, Hurricane Ian could be catastrophic, so the chief is putting the final touches on his forecast.
He'll be here in 30 seconds. First, 3 things to know right now. There is breaking news in Fairfax County. The school district just released results of the investigation into how a counselor convicted of sex crimes against children kept his job for months.
And second, pushing back, we'll show you how Virginia students are standing up to Governor Youngkin's proposed policies for students who are transgender.
And third, Southeast DC now has a new grocery store. We'll talk about why it's a big deal for neighbors in need of options and why some say more needs to be done.
Those stories in just a moment, but first we need to get you up to speed on Hurricane Ian. That storm is inching closer and closer to Florida, and it's putting so many lives in danger.
Yeah, you're right, Zoe. More than 2 million people have been ordered to evacuate their homes. We're getting some new images into our newsroom. These are satellite images of the eye of the storm, packed with lightning. See all those flashes there? And this is just in from Key West. The strong winds ahead of the storm snapped a tree in half.
Yeah, let's bring in the chief now as we take this live picture from the very southernmost point of the U.S. mainland on the tip of Key West. You can barely make it out there, but you can certainly see those huge waves. And Top, you just got an update on Ian's strength and track. The folks in Florida clearly feeling it already.
Well, we have some good news. The pressure's gone up a little bit, which is an indication the storm is not strengthening, but the winds have not decreased. Hurricane Center still has the winds at 120 miles per hour sustained. So there's the eye of the storm now pushing northward, headed toward Fort Myers. That seems to be the main track for this. So Category 3 right now, it's about 110 miles southwest of Naples, Florida. It's moving pretty slowly, north-northeast at about 10. The winds are still 120, gusts are still to 150. Which I'm a little surprised about with that jump in pressure because it went up significantly. Now, we get into, say, 8 o'clock on Wednesday, Category 4, very close to Fort Myers, not that far off of Fort Myers. And by the time we get to Wednesday, 8 o'clock, it's now ashore, but winds are still 125 miles per hour. So in this area, we're talking about the highest winds and the largest storm surge, maybe from Longboat Key down toward Fort Myers or Coral Beach. Now, it does diminish pretty quickly into a Category 1, then it's just a tropical storm by Thursday morning, moves briefly out to sea, and then curves back around into Georgia, and then headed on up into the Carolinas as we go through the weekend as just an area of low pressure, but still with a ton of moisture. Now, the warnings and watches, yeah, the red hurricane warnings, the yellow tropical storm warnings, almost the entire state is under something. Now, we also have the surges. So we see this red right here. That's the storm surge right around Fort Myers. Could be as much as 8 to 12 feet.
Yeah, and Chief, you know, we don't talk a lot about storm surge here at home. Can you tell us a bit more about what it is?
Yeah, it's a little bit unusual. Here, follow me for a minute. So with a hurricane, winds blow and it piles up the water as it rolls toward the beach. And it can happen in an ocean or a bay for that matter. Now, in terms of a normal tide, you know, normal sea level, you get about maybe a 3-foot range with high and low tide, and that's normal. But as these winds continue to blow at high speeds, a 6-foot storm surge can be very, very damaging, but a 12-foot storm surge can be devastating. And some areas now south of Tampa, near the Fort Myers area, could see a 12-foot storm surge, and that indeed would be rather damaging. Now, we'll come back. We'll talk about when the remnants of Ian make it into the DMV.
Okay. We'll see you shortly. Thank you, Top. You know, as the chief mentioned, Ian has already hit Cuba. We've just learned the storm has collapsed the power grid, so there's no electricity on that island. We're certainly thinking of the people who live there and everyone in this storm's path.
This is a night of breaking news in our area, too, and we begin with a brush fire in Southeast DC's Anacostia Park. Adam Longo is following that from the newsroom. Adds, this is pretty unusual.
Yeah, and startling. I mean, Leslie, you're out having dinner in the Navy Yard, and then you see this raging inferno across the river. Thanks to Melissa Quinn for that picture and to Elizabeth Oyen for taking some video at the Navy Yard of these pretty significant flames. Let me take you through exactly where this played out. So here's a Google map version of Southwest and Southeast. You can see the National Mall here. We're going to take it to satellite and we're going to zoom in here. So right here you have the Douglas Bridge. That's the one with the arches on it. And then right over here is the 11th Street Bridge. So in this area right here, that's where that brush fire broke out. Now DC Fire and EMS, take a look at this video. They had 2 fire boats out on the Anacostia tonight, putting water from the river onto that brush fire to try to get it out. Firefighters out there taking care of it. No idea on the cause of this, but we do know it was very dry and very breezy out there. No structures threatened here. Nobody hurt, just a big area of brush on fire. DC Fire able to get that area wetted down and that fire out pretty quickly. I mean, by the time our crew had scrambled out to the scene, everything was pretty well wrapped up, but a pretty big eye-opener for anyone living in that part of town or out for a stroll or dinner tonight. Typically, all of the drama there in Southeast playing out in Nats Park, but a rare brush fire lighting up the Knight and Navy Yard tonight. Back to you.
Yeah, it's got a lot of attention for sure, Ads. Thank you. Also breaking tonight, people in a car reported stolen from Prince George's County crashed into a Metro bus in Southeast. Now, this happened right near the Southern Avenue Metro station. People who saw it happen say that 2 men bailed out of that car. They took off running, but D.C. police caught up to them. And medics tell us they took 2 people to the hospital. One of them was in that vehicle reported as stolen.
All right, we have more breaking news, this time in Fairfax County. The school district just releasing the results of an independent investigation into the controversy surrounding a middle school counselor.
This is a story we have followed very closely for you here at WUSA 9. Darren Thornton was convicted of child sex charges back in March, but he kept his job at Glasgow Middle School for months after that. The big lingering question is, how could this happen?
Yeah, Fairfax County Public Schools conducted its own investigation, and again, they briefed these families on these findings tonight. Our Casey Nolan was in that meeting. He joins us live with what we're learning. Hey, Casey.
Hey, Zoe. Hey, Leslie. This report points blame at the police department that was supposed to notify FCPS that one of its counselors had been arrested, but it also found major problems here in the school system. All of this on the same day that the once trusted counselor was back in court. Tuesday, Darren Thornton was in a Chesterfield County, Virginia courtroom on charges of soliciting prostitution, the allegations that got him fired this past summer from his job as a middle school counselor here at Glasgow Middle School in Fairfax County. By law, he should have been fired nearly 2 years ago when he was first charged and eventually convicted of sex crimes against children. For that, Thornton was placed on probation by the court. He had already passed a background check to get hired with Fairfax County Public Schools and kept working despite his conviction.
We need to understand what happened here and why it happened.
Tuesday night, the FCPS superintendent shared the results of an independent investigation with parents. It found the district was never notified of Thornton's original arrest or conviction. It also found several systemic gaps in the FCPS hiring process, including on reference checks, verification of appropriate licenses, and the information sharing between jurisdictions. Among other issues, the superintendent says FCPS is addressing as quickly as possible.
How do you convince parents that their kids are safe here?
So one of the things that we have to do first is name that we have a concern, acknowledge that, look into it, and then follow recommendations that we know to be best practice moving forward. And time will tell. I don't believe it's going to happen again here in Fairfax County Public Schools, and I believe our families can trust us.
I really think Dr. Reed is on the right path here, but I think we have to persist. To blithely say, no, this is not happening, it's not going to happen again here, very naive. We have got to realize we've got all sorts of concerns about our kids, and I think they're valid concerns.
One of the major changes Dr. Reed wants to see, she wants background checks on school staff after they are hired, but says she will need the Commonwealth's help to make that happen. She also says she has already taken disciplinary action against a school employee or employees. She won't say who, she won't say what it was. She will, though, say that more could be coming. More disciplinary action could be coming. So,
yeah, hopefully Dr. Reed does get that support from Virginia, and hopefully this does not happen again. Casey, thank you so much. And we are staying in Virginia for this next story tonight. A lot of folks talking about this.
Yeah, students walked out of class all across the Commonwealth today. They are standing up to the governor's proposed plan for transgender students. You're going to hear from one student who says they are terrified for their future in 60 seconds.